Hey, Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to Philadelphia Eagles Now. Today, a day after the Eagles went from 80 down to 53, we have the official 15-player practice squad list that is out. We're going to get into that, as well as a quick little update from Zach Ertz saying he wants to retire an Eagle. So we'll jump into, of course, all of the players they have signed to the practice squad. We'll go through a full list, and then we'll get into some of the individual players as well. Interesting to note, they made no waiver claims. They signed all their own players who were all cut yesterday. So, short time off the market, I say on the market for some of these guys. We'll start with the one that's not officially official yet, but reports are saying Marvin Wilson, a very highly touted Browns undrafted free agent out of FSU, the D tackle. The report's saying he's signing to the practice squad as number 16, but the Eagles don't have him on their official list yet, so keep with it as you will. But they like the idea of bringing another young D tackle, and Wilson was highly touted. I think the Browns gave him like $192 million in guaranteed money to sign with them, so maybe he'll be good, maybe not, but looks like he's going to sign even though he's not officially on the list. So that means they need either one or two more players to get to 16 or 17, depending on how many they want going into week 1 next week. All right, we'll go down the list here. Jordan Howard, the running back. Jason Huntley make it as well, so they keep two running backs. No surprise that they keep both of these guys. I thought Howard would make the roster. He did not. They re-signed Fulgham and John Hightower, another two wide receivers who were cut. Both guys hopefully can get better and make the squad next year, like Quez Watkins, who actually made the squad this year and is going to be one of the Eagles starters. Offensive line, you got LaRaven Clark, Sua Opeta, Kayode Awosika, so you say his last name, and Ross Pierschbacher. Man, they got some hard last names on the offensive line. Both of those guys make it on the O-line. Your defensive lineman is going to be Matt Leo. They bring back Raekwon Williams, who was the undrafted free agent last year, I believe. And then the one linebacker, Jacoby Stevens, their final draft pick out of LSU, who was good, but they didn't make, there's way too many linebackers on the overall depth chart. DBs and safeties, they get Craig James, Michael Jaquette, both come back. Elijah Riley, the safety, who was a fringe guy, almost made it there. And then the Baylor safety, Graylin Arnold, to round out the list of practice squad players. We're going to go through each one of these guys individually. First, though, who are you most excited to see on the practice squad this year? Is there a player? I think there's a bunch of players on the Eagles practice squad. Fulgham comes to mind right now, as he mentally had a really bad offseason, just physically as well. He just did not play well. So we'll talk about him in a second. But give me your pick on who you're most excited to see in the practice squad or on the practice squad this year. All right, we'll start with Jordan Howard, who I thought would make the roster. I said he would. After they let go Kerryon Johnson a couple weeks back, I thought he would do it. But they love Boston Scott, and they really like Kenny Gainwell. They're in love with Kenny Gainwell. And so they go with 3. I would not be surprised if Howard gets called up at some point if there were to be an injury. It's good they were able to keep him. Surprised he made it through the waiver claims, but he officially stays in Philadelphia. Good for Jason Huntley as well, who had a lot of carries. They gave him the football more than pretty much any other running back during all of the preseason games. Again, it's just a loaded running back group. They like Scott. They like they liked Howard more as well, and so they bring back Huntley on the practice squad, potentially be a future contributor on the roster at some point this year, maybe to make the team next season. Fulgham, again, was supposed to be wide receiver 3 going into this offseason, and then just had a terrible offseason. Honestly, he was terrible at training camp. He was playing in the fourth quarter preseason games. That's an instant indicator that you are on the bubble. And Quez Watkins outperformed him. If Watkins hadn't played well, Fulgham makes the roster. But Watkins did play well, and Whiteside is the second-round draft pick, so they kept both of them instead of a guy in Travis Fulgham, who needs, I think, a year on the practice squad or another year on the practice squad, I should say, to solidify how good he can be, because we saw how good he can be during that 4-game stretch last season. Hightower, the forgotten receiver, drafted before Quez Watkins, and Watkins makes the roster way before he does this year, but Hightower did nothing this year. They tried to get him as a kick return guy and just couldn't do it. Literally the speed that we drafted him to have basically did nothing. So they're very pleased with the receivers they have right now. They love, obviously, Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, and Quez Watkins this year. You get Greg Ward and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. That's 5. You could bring up any of these guys. I think we'll probably see Fulgham at some point this year, especially if Whiteside struggles. If he stinks and can't even see the football field, then they might swap him for Fulgham at some point this year. Before we go ahead and get into some of the other players who were re-signed, if you guys are subscribed to Philadelphia Eagles Now, we're growing at a crazy great rate. We are doing some good numbers here on the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you, but I want to make sure if you're watching these videos, to present you the offer to subscribe. It's free. Just go down below and hit the red subscribe button, and then you get notified whenever we drop our latest videos. We do a mailbag tomorrow or the next day, so make sure you're subscribed, because subscribers are the ones who we get to answer your questions. Okay, more players re-signed. We talked about LaRaven Clark. Again, not a big surprise that he is going to be re-signed back to the practice squad. They like him from an offensive line perspective. He played, 6 games last year, 1 sack allowed, but again, the depth at the offensive line position was just too great. They like Toth, they like Urbig a lot better. Same goes for a guy like Sua Opeta. I had him in my final roster depth chart, but he was fringe. He's right there on the bubble, and so they bring him back from their practice squad. But they like what they have in Opeta and protected him a lot last year when he was on the practice squad, and so expect him to be protected a lot this year. Awosika also, again, The depth, it's just too great at the offensive line position. He was not going to have a chance to make the starting 53, but still, he's going to go ahead and be on the practice squad. And the same goes for Pierschbacher, I think so you say his name, as he played in one game last year and didn't do very well so far in the or in all of the preseason games, so he comes back down to the practice squad. Matt Leo, again, the International Pathway Program, he's a free practice squad spot because he played overseas, so you're obviously going to go ahead and keep him. Plus, they had a lot of success with the last guy that they brought over the practice squad, and that was, of course, undrafted free agent rookie or actually they drafted him, but late round, Jordan Mailata, who's going to start at left tackle this year, so good for him. Raekwon Williams, they like him, they don't love him, and that's why he goes to the practice squad and does not make the official roster. They love Milton Williams, who, of course, was actually drafted, whereas Raekwon Williams was not. Now, this defensive line, it's going to eat, it's going to be great, but they said earlier today, and I think there was an article I read at Bleeding Green Nation, that the focus is on the young interior defensive line, which is why they kept a lot of these guys, whether they kept them on the 53 or signed them to the practice squad. We are 12 days away from Eagles-Falcons. We're really close to Eagle-Falcons. I think the defensive line is going to eat against the Falcons because the Falcons' O-line is banged up. They had an injury to left tackle today, or left guard today, and they're also bad in general. So give me your score prediction for the Eagles-Falcons game right now down below in the comment section. I'll give my prediction next week, but I'm leaning toward the Philadelphia, obviously, in this game because I think our O-line and our D-line are going to be very, very dominant. If you want to bet on this game, it's a great game to get into because the Falcons are 3.5-point favorites, and you can win a lot of money betting against Atlanta and betting for your Philadelphia Eagles. Go to chatsports.com/EaglesBet. Use that promo code EAGLES125 for a 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up. So I would bet both the over-under, and I'd bet the line right now, or the spread, I should say, -3.5 in the favor of the Falcons. To me, that makes no sense because the Falcons' D-line and O-line is pretty darn trash, and you can make a lot of money if you bet correctly. Do with our friends at at BetUS, chatsports.com/EaglesBet, promo code EAGLES125. Okay, some other guys here. Jacoby Stevens, a draft pick, again. The linebacking depth chart was way too strong. And so Stevens was up and down, but they wanted to go ahead and keep last year's young guys, and Davion Taylor and Sean Bradley, over Jacoby Stevens. Craig James has played at times in a starting role due to injuries, but he's not a starting cornerback, and so they let him go 2 tackles there in 2020. Same with Michael Jacquet. He just got burned way too many times. I mean, many times you saw him out there covering somebody, you held your breath because he was just an absolute nightmare. Elijah Riley was battling with Marcus Epps for a possible safety spot. They love Kayvon Wallace, and so Riley doesn't make the roster. Same with Graylin Arnold, who I think can be potentially somebody who's decent if he has enough practice squad time, and he will be on his second year in the practice squad, the safety out of Baylor. There you go. There are your practice squad players, all 15, 16 of them, number that we are at right now. It's a good list. It's a strong group, and I'm pumped to see what these guys can do about potentially making the roster. Remember Boston Scott, practice squad guy. Now he's the number 2 running back on the roster. Quickly here, Zach Ertz spoke to the media today. First time since the last time he made comments like months ago where he said he was not going to finish his career in Philadelphia. Well, he's reversed course here, and he's reiterated his desire to retire in Philadelphia and said that things have mended well with the football team. We'll throw that quote up on the screen right now when he asked about his future today. Quote, "But a lot of things have gone on this offseason. Ultimately, I'm here to just kind of put it in the past. I'm excited to be here. This is the most fun I've had coming to work in a long time. These past 4 weeks, this is the place I want to be. This is the place I want to retire. I'm moving on from everything that happened this offseason. There have been apologies," end quote. He was also asked about, the city and how he feels about Philadelphia, and he said this: "I love the city too much to burn it down." So, great news here, by the way. The fact that Zach Ertz is coming back. We thought he was going to leave. Then we said they were going to cut him. Then they said they're going to trade him. And then they said he's going to be this year. This is the icing on the cake. He's going to be an Eagle this year, and I'm pumped to see that. What's your one-word reaction to Ertz's comments today? To me, I'm pumped about this. I'll give you my one-word reaction in a second. Give me your one-word reaction to the Ertz comments down below right now in the comments section. I think most of us are going to be excited. My one-word reaction is very simple. Sirianni. Nick Sirianni is the reason why Zach Ertz has stayed here. Part of it is Jalen Hurts. Part of it is the rest of the roster. They love these guys. They've been together for a long time, even though there's some new additions there. But Nick Sirianni has completely sold his entire pitch to the entire team. The team's bought into it. You got to give credit where credit is due. The strain was not between Peterson and Ertz. The strain was between Roseman and Ertz. And I think Sirianni has helped bridge that and mend things together. And I think that Zach Ertz also looks back and says, this roster is good. We can win with this roster. People on the outside don't see it, but people on the inside do see this roster as being a strong overall group and that can win some games and make some moves here. And so I'm pumped. I think Sirianni has done a great job this offseason, and credit to him for mending what was a very broken relationship between Zach Ertz and the Eagles. They're going to get him back this year. If he's healthy, we forget. Went healthy last year. If he's healthy, he's considered a top 5 tight end in the National Football League. Pair it with Dallas Goedert and the healthy offensive line and the new wide receivers and the Sirianni offense. I mean, it's going to be good this year. I'm telling you. People comment down below in these videos. They say the Eagles are going to stink, and maybe they are. I don't see it, and I'm buying the Eagles being a playoff team this year, and I'm pumped about that. Ultimate for today here at Philadelphia Eagles Now. Again, a full breakdown of the practice squad and the Ertz comment updates. We're going to do a mailbag video next couple of days. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channels. We have plenty more coming in the next couple of days and weeks leading up to the Week 1 opener against the Atlanta Falcons. I'm Thomas Mott. All the time we have for today. Signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.